Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 12 motorcycles only the dumbest people own. Number 12, BMW R18. The BMW R18 is a glaring testament to the idea that some people have more money than sense in 2026. While it resembles a museum piece, owning one for actual riding is a choice only the most illogical enthusiasts make. The bike is dominated by an 1802cc big boxer, engine so massive it fundamentally ruins the experience. Because the cylinder heads protrude like metal wings, forward controls are impossible, forcing you into a cramped mid-peg position that feels like sitting on a bar stool with your knees in your chest. For a cruiser, the inability to stretch your legs is a design flaw that only a truly oblivious buyer would overlook after dropping $15,395 plus a heavy destination charge. The form-over-function disaster continues with laughable ground clearance and a lean angle so shallow you will scrape floorboards in a driveway. It weighs a staggering 761 pounds, yet the rear suspension offers a measly 3.5 inches of travel, turning every pothole into a direct assault on your spine. Ultimately, this motorcycle is a triumph of vanity over utility, proving that a high price tag and a prestigious badge can convince anyone to ignore a beautifully polished mistake. Number 11, Harley-Davidson Nightster. The Harley-Davidson Nightster represents a confusing identity crisis that only the most branding-obsessed buyers would fall for in 2026. While it attempts to capitalize on the heritage of the Sportster name, it replaces the soul of a classic cruiser with a liquid-cooled 975cc Revolution Max engine that feels more like a vacuum cleaner than a V-twin. For a staggering starting price of approximately $11,999, you are essentially paying a premium for a bike that feels remarkably plastic. The fuel tank is actually located under the seat, meaning the tank in front of you is just a hollow steel shell, a deceptive design choice that screams style over substance. For the long-distance traveler, the 4-piston front caliper and single disc provide barely adequate stopping power for a bike in this price bracket, especially when navigating the unpredictable traffic of 2026. The ergonomics are a nightmare for anyone over 5 feet tall, as the mid-mount controls and low 27-inch seat height create a cramped, clamshell posture that leads to lower back pain within 40 miles. Furthermore, the rear suspension offers a pathetic 3 inches of travel, meaning your spine acts as the primary shock absorber for every highway expansion joint. This motorcycle is a textbook example of paying for a nameplate while receiving a budget riding experience. Number 10, Indian Chief. The Indian Chief is a masterclass in how to spend nearly $19,000 on a motorcycle that offers the mechanical sophistication of a tractor in 2026. While the brand pushes a heritage narrative, buying this machine is a decision only a rider ignoring modern standards would make. At its core is the air-cooled Thunderstroke 111 engine, which acts as a massive heat sink, effectively roasting your inner thighs the moment you hit a traffic light. For a bike priced at approximately $18,999, the lack of basic amenities like a 6-axis EMU or sophisticated suspension is insulting. You are paying a premium for a steel tube frame and a motor that vibrates with such primitive intensity it can numb your hands before you even exit the city limits. The ergonomics are equally baffling, as the bike features a low-slung design that provides a mere 4 inches of ground clearance. In 2026, navigating a simple speed bump or a moderate corner becomes a game of will I scrape today, which is an embarrassing limitation for a machine of this size. With a fuel capacity of only 4 gallons, your range is severely limited, forcing you to plan your entire trip around gas stations rather than the road ahead. Overall, the Chief is a high-priced monument to stubborn nostalgia that sacrifices every shred of modern comfort for a rugged look. Number 9, Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. The Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 is a motorcycle that only the most delusional, retro-obsessed riders would call a serious long-distance machine in 2026. While its starting price of approximately $7,300 seems like a bargain, You are essentially paying for a vibration-heavy 64.8cc parallel twin engine that struggles to maintain highway speeds without feeling like it is about to shake its own bolts loose. For a bike intended for the modern American road, the lack of wind protection and a seat that feels like a wooden plank after 30 miles is a design failure only the most oblivious buyers would ignore. You are dropping over $7,000 on a machine with a build quality that feels more like a hobby kit than a reliable touring companion. The suspension is equally laughable, as the basic front forks and twin rear shocks offer almost no damping, turning every bump into a spine-jarring event. In 2026, choosing a bike with a basic halogen headlight and no modern rider aids beyond simple ABS is a safety gamble that only a truly dumb owner would take. This motorcycle is a textbook example of you get what you pay for, offering a budget experience that leaves you stranded in the past. Number 8. Harley-Davidson Street 500. The Harley-Davidson Street 500 is a motorcycle that only the most branding-blinded individuals would buy in 2026, especially since it was widely considered the trash of the lineup even before it was discontinued. Paying approximately $6,800 for a used or leftover model is essentially paying a Harley tax for a bike that was built with the quality of a generic lawnmower. The liquid-cooled 494cc Revolution X engine is a gutless wonder that produces a pathetic 29.5 foot-pounds of torque, making it a struggle to keep up with highway traffic without the engine screaming in agony. It is a bike designed for riding schools, yet some people mistakenly believe it is a legitimate entry into the lifestyle, ignoring the fact that the fit and finish are bottom tier, with visible wires and cheap plastic everywhere. The mid-mount controls and cramped ergonomics make anyone of average height look like they are riding a tricycle, while the suspension is so poorly damped that a simple manhole cover feels like a curb. In 2026, dropping thousands of dollars on a machine that lacks a fuel gauge, a gear indicator, or any shred of the thump Harley is known for is the ultimate sign of a buyer who values a badge over a functioning motorcycle. Number 7. Yamaha VMAX. The Yamaha VMAX is a motorcycle that only the most mechanically illiterate people would consider a cruiser in 2026. While it pretends to be a road-going machine, it is actually an $18,000 engineering prank designed to humiliate anyone who tries to ride it for more than 20 minutes. The heart of this disaster is a 1679cc V4 engine that produces nearly 200 horsepower, which would be impressive if the bike didn't have the fuel range of a toy. You are dropping over $18,000 on a machine with a tiny 3.9-gallon fuel tank that is located under the seat, meaning your low-fuel light will scream at you every 60 miles. The form-over-function failures are legendary, starting with the fake air intakes on the side of the tank that serve as a constant reminder that you paid for plastic theater. Choosing to own a VMAX in 2026 means you have prioritized a drag strip fantasy over the reality of needing a bike that can actually navigate a highway without stopping for fuel 3 times before lunch. Number 6. A Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is a motorcycle designed for people who think having a larger engine than most compact cars is a substitute for a personality in 2026. This machine features an absurd 2458cc triple-cylinder engine that produces more torque than is remotely usable on a public road. Starting at approximately $26,695 for the Storm R model, you are paying a massive premium for a bike that is essentially a $30,000 exercise in excess. The weight is a staggering 641 pounds, making any attempt at low-speed maneuvering feel like you are wrestling a water buffalo in a parking lot. In 2026, dropping nearly $30,000 on a bike that gets a pathetic 32 miles per gallon is a financial disaster that only the most mathematically challenged buyers would commit. The engineering flaws are hidden behind a wall of polished aluminum, starting with the fact that the massive headers run inches from your right leg, effectively cooking your calf every time you stop at a light. Choosing to own a Rocket 3 proves you are more interested in winning a displacement contest at a coffee shop than actually owning a machine that is practical, efficient, or fun to ride for more than 15 minutes. Number 5. Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R is a motorcycle for people who believe that bigger is better applies to everything, including bad engineering. In 2026, dropping $17,999 on a bike that hasn't seen a meaningful update in 2 decades is a special kind of financial suicide. You are paying $18,000 for a 1783cc V-twin that still uses a clunky 5-speed transmission and a cable-actuated clutch that feels like pulling a gym weight. For a machine marketed as a performance cruiser, the complete absence of ABS or traction control is a terrifying oversight that only a truly oblivious owner would excuse. The form-over-function disaster starts with the 240mm rear tire, which makes the bike feel like it's fighting every attempt to turn. It weighs a massive 764 pounds, and at low speeds it handles with the grace of a falling piano. Then there is the headlight cowl, a piece of plastic theater that causes enough wind turbulence to rattle your teeth at highway speeds. For $18,000, you get an analog speedometer on the tank and an engine that radiates enough heat to cook your right leg in heavy traffic. Buying an M109R in 2026 proves you value a tough guy silhouette over the reality of owning a bike that is actually safe or modern. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Street 750. The Harley-Davidson Street 750 is a motorcycle that only the most badge-blinded buyers would spend money on in 2026. Originally built as a budget-friendly entry point to attract a younger crowd, it instead became a masterclass in how to build a cheap bike and slap an expensive logo on it. Paying $7,500 for a used model is a financial tragedy, considering the fit and finish are bottom tier. The 749cc liquid-cooled Revolution X V-twin engine is a mechanical letdown, producing a meager 58 horsepower that struggles to provide any real excitement on the interstate. The ergonomics are a disaster for anyone of average American height, as the mid-mount controls and cramped seat height make the rider look like they are crouching on a footstool. For a bike meant to carry the Harley name, the suspension is shockingly poor, with basic forks that dive under the slightest braking and rear shocks that bottom out on every minor pothole. In 2026, choosing a machine that lacks a basic LED headlight or a gear indicator, while settling for a spongy braking system, is a choice that screams a lack of research. Number 3. Triumph Trident 660. The Triumph Trident 660 is a motorcycle for the chronically confused who want to pay a premium price for a bike that feels like a generic entry-level toy in 2026. While the brand tries to sell you on British sophistication, you are actually dropping approximately $8,595 on a machine that is built to a budget, and it shows in every plastic panel. The 660cc triple engine is a neutered version of Triumph's better powerplants, producing a modest 80 horsepower that feels completely uninspired once you pass the city limits. In 2026, spending nearly $9,000 on a premium naked bike that comes with non-adjustable front forks and a basic steel swing arm is a financial blunder that only the most brand-dazzled buyers would commit. The ergonomics are equally disappointing, as the bike is so small it makes an average-sized rider look like they are riding a motorized bicycle. For long-distance travel, the tiny 3.7-gallon fuel tank is a joke, ensuring your touring consists mostly of looking for gas stations every 100 miles. The seat is thin and provides all the comfort of a concrete slab, and the lack of wind protection means you'll be fighting for your life against the breeze at highway speeds. Choosing a Trident 660 in 2026 proves you've prioritized a badge over a bike with actual substance, comfort, or high-speed stability. Number 2. Indian Scout 60. The Indian Scout 60 is a motorcycle for the buyer who wants the prestigious Indian badge, but isn't quite smart enough to realize they're being sold a watered-down experience in 2026. For a starting price of approximately $9,999, which quickly swells after you add the inevitable $725 destination charge, you are essentially paying $10,000 for a bike with an identity crisis. The liquid-cooled 999cc V-twin engine is a detuned version of the proper Scout, and while 85 horsepower sounds decent, it is paired with a 5-speed transmission. In 2026, selling a modern cruiser without a 6th gear is a mechanical insult, leaving you searching for a non-existent top gear every time you try to cruise at highway speeds. The form-over-function compromises are everywhere, starting with the pathetic 2 inches of rear suspension travel. The ergonomics are cramped for anyone of average height, making a 1-hour ride feel like a test of physical endurance rather than a leisure activity. Choosing to own a Scout 60 in 2026 proves you are willing to pay a premium to play the part of a cruiser enthusiast, while suffering through a budget-cut riding experience that lacks both the comfort and the versatility of its competitors. Number 1. Triumph Bonneville Bobber. The Triumph Bonneville Bobber is a motorcycle for the person who values a cool Instagram profile more than their own physical well-being in 2026. While it looks like a masterpiece of minimalist design, spending approximately $14,795 on a cruiser that offers almost no comfort is a financial decision only a truly misguided buyer would make. The centerpiece is a 1200cc parallel twin engine that, while torquey, is strapped into a chassis that prioritizes a hardtail look over actual ride quality. For nearly $15,000, you are buying a machine with a rear suspension travel of only 2.9 inches, meaning your tailbone is the primary shock absorber for every highway seam and pothole you encounter. The form-over-function disaster is highlighted by the floating solo seat, which ensures you can never carry a passenger, and a fuel tank that was so embarrassingly small Triumph finally bumped it to 3.7 gallons for 2026, just to keep owners from being stranded every 45 minutes. Choosing the Bonneville Bobber in 2026 proves you are willing to pay a premium for a factory custom that functions better as a garage ornament than a vehicle, sacrificing versatility, range, and your own spine for a look that stops being fun the moment you leave the driveway. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.